Hey guys, welcome back to I'm Still Here. I'm Heather. In 1998, I was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. It changed everything for us, for me, but I'm still here. And today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about hope. I was thinking about how so many times when you're diagnosed with cancer and people are looking for things to say, they'll say that they're hoping for the best or that, I think we've talked about this a little bit, God's will be done. But when I think about those statements, they don't sound hopeful to me at all because it just feels like so many of the platitudes that get said to us are really, although they're meant to sound good, they really just sound, so scary or so much like there's no hope, right? But I was thinking about the word, or about hope. I was thinking about actually our discussion, the discussion that I had with Lori last week, and how there was a lot of similarities, and one of them was that I think that we both just kind of kept moving forward with hope. So I realized that might have been a little bit unique to us, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit more today and try to break it down for you. So when I was first going through the cancer, first finding out about it, and it was so, much of that tumultuous time, and everything felt so out of my control, and it almost felt like I didn't deserve to have any hope, that I didn't, that having hope would be almost like false hope, or that it was, I don't know, how would you, overzealous kind of, to kind of be that bold to still go forward with hope, knowing that I had innumerable bone mets, knowing that I was stage 4, knowing that I had literally failed almost every test there was in terms of progression, all of those things, knowing that treatment options could be limited. It seemed like having hope was being unrealistic or silly or just maybe irresponsible even. But then I realized that if I didn't have hope, I didn't have anything, right? That if I was going to go forward and be able to kind of put my energy into a treatment plan and into believing that there could be a good outcome, I needed to have hope, right? And I decided early on that that was my job. Others could help me with it, but what I want to talk about today is really the things that I did or that I thought about. I realized that hope was not something that was extraneous, that it was absolutely an essential part of me moving forward with stage 4 breast cancer. I had to have it. I decided I was worth it. And I also decided that I needed to look for it. So let's talking about having to have it, right? That sounds weird when you say it. Without hope, what do you have? Where does your motivation come from? How do we face each day? I realized that I didn't have an answer for that, right? So, like I just mentioned, I knew that even a little bit of hope or faith would go a long way. And so I decided to embrace that. I also just thought about, as I was looking at my life, that I didn't need to be the judge or need to spend a lot of time thinking about whether or not I was worth it, right? I think there's a lot of things in this life where we go through and we put a lot of preconceived notions on who we are and whether or not we're worth it or good enough or all of these different things. And That's not really up to me. It's just up to me to live the best life that I can live and to move forward when I make mistakes and to stop judging myself so harshly, right? So, regardless of the statistics or the prognosis or anything else, my body deserved to have every tool available to it, and hope was definitely one of those. I think this is something that people really struggle with sometimes, and also something that we spend too much time thinking about. We are our own worst critics, and we beat ourselves up for not doing things the right way. We don't let things go that that we would have let go for a child or a spouse or a friend. And so I know that having hope and believing is something that I'm even going to say you owe it to yourself. You're worth it. You're worth it to have hope and to move forward. Now here is the next part. Hope doesn't always come like crashing through the window, right? It doesn't come in ways that are obvious all the time. And I learned that I needed to look for it. But I'm going to back up a step. Even before I needed to look for it, I needed to think about things happening in a way that would be positive. So when I talk about looking for hope, it means that maybe I've got a test coming up or a scan. And rather than envisioning everything bad that can happen with that scan, because clearly I'd already been through that, and that's kind of what my body learned quickly, was that, nothing good came from a scan. I had to stop and rethink about, okay, a scan can go well, and I'm going to hope that that's the case. I'm going to make a plan that I'll be prepared if I need to execute it, but I'm not going to consume all of my energy worrying about what comes next. I know that my thoughts become my actions, and my actions become, my truth. And so really backing that up and thinking about it. So I envisioned good things happening. I was thinking about this the other day, not so much in a cancer way, because I've been fortunate to not have that be at the top of my concerns lately. But for me, it's been more of a career type of situation. And I've been making some moves and changing some things up in the last year. And this next move that I'm anticipating making, I was thinking, I really want this particular thing to happen. I want to be able to do, this thing for the summer or whatever. And there's a part of me sometimes that it started to happen, and I didn't respond to it. And that became almost like it bothers me, like a guilt thing, like I'm stopping myself from moving forward, or I'm sabotaging myself even. But in the last couple of days, there was another occurrence where the situation came up again, and I responded to it, and everything was positive about it. So the cool thing about that is that I immediately recognized this is me hoping, my hope, and my envisioning what's coming next, coming true, coming to fruition. And I think that acknowledging that is so important too. So when I think about hope, I think about envisioning things. I think about speaking them, writing them down, and then recognizing them. So I think maybe the order is a little bit different. I think it's usually envisioning, writing them down, speaking them. And when I say speaking them, it means that I am talking about what I'm hopeful for or what I'm working towards, to people I trust, to people that I know are not going to squelch that hope, and that are even going to kind of add to it rather than detract from it. So envisioning, writing it down, speaking it, and then recognizing when it comes, right? And a lot of times that's where I think gratitude comes in. When we talk about gratitude, that's recognizing that there are things to be helpful or hopeful for, and that they are occurring through our daily lives. So I know that it's hard with cancer to have hope, but I do believe it's possible. And sometimes it's just it is really retraining our brain to maybe not react to some of those cues that it has kind of been injured from in the past, and reteaching it how to do things. The other thing I have been thinking about when it comes to hope, there's this quote by Brendan Bouchard, who, if you want some hope, just like Google him. He's on YouTube and everything else, but my goodness, he's a great speaker, and he has a lot of good things to say about having hope, moving forward, living kind of a big life. But one thing that I was thinking about was, he talks about a power plant doesn't have energy, it generates energy. And when he's talking about this, he's talking about kind of with exercise, right? Like how it's, when you move, you then create more energy to move, right? But that's also true about our thoughts, right? And about hope. It's, how do you generate hopeful thoughts? How do you generate this ability to see the good in things, or look for it even throughout despair, right? It doesn't mean that you're going to be like in a marvelous mood all the time, or that that everything's going to go right. It's just the thought that even when things maybe aren't going great, you're looking for the opportunity to see something that could change that and make it better. And you're looking for the kind of the ray of sunshine in the darkness, right? I was thinking about how could I generate hope, and how I did generate hope every day. It's certainly not by letting my mind keep going with the negativity. It's not by surrounding myself with people who are also in a terrible situation. It's not by lamenting over things that aren't going right. You find hope by looking for it, and there's a lot of ways to do that. You can listen to a podcast that's encouraging. You can think about hope, right? Find somebody who's talking about, things that are hopeful, things that are good, right? You can do a meditation. I mean, again, Google's amazing, right? Not an ad, but like Google helpful healing meditation. And if you don't like the first one, look for another one, right? You could write a meditation, you could listen to it, you could read it, however that is helpful to you. Or a visualization, which those a lot of times are more specific, and they kind of take you on a path. Both Lori and I talked about doing them. We actually were both doing them specifically to the medicines we were on, or to, our treatment, in different parts of it. It doesn't have to be that specific, but it does you need to be able to connect with it. So use words that are strong for you, or use words or find words that are inspiring and empowering. Look for, a voice, if you're listening to something that just sits well with you, that you really connect to, and give yourself the time and the ability to really connect to it. I'm a mom. My kids are older now. You've heard us talk about our dogs. We have 2 dogs. I think it's amazing how tuned in your family can be to you looking for kind of a quiet place to go and retreat and maybe do something like this. So I'm just saying, like, seek out that time and space and the energy to do this kind of work. Things are going to work against you. Even when the kids aren't here, the dogs will be moving around, or the UPS man comes up the driveway, or whatever it is. But you know what? Keep guarding that time with yourself to help you generate hope and inspiration to move you forward. 5 minutes, 2 minutes, which is helpful, right? But know that you're worth it. It's worth it to do this work, and you're worth it. And even when you're sick and you don't feel good, you can still think about, you can think about something positive, and you can think about generating hope. If you're feeling well enough to go for a walk or to do something like that, I find that physical movement generates for me so much hope, and also ideas, right? And when ideas come, then you can really grab onto those, and they can help you move forward. Eating something good for yourself can generate hope, right? I did that. I'm proud of myself, and say it. Like, my body's working for me. I'm working with my body. My body knows what to do, right? It's all about kind of how you're going to reference this. And some days are going to be harder than others. I get that. I totally get that. And some days you're not going to do this at all. And that's okay. But you know what? Even through that, trust your body to carry you through. Trust your faith, or your your knowing to be able to get through hard times and pick it back up when you're feeling a little better. Don't ever give up on hope. I just talked about this a little bit. Tell yourself you're doing a good job. Believe in yourself. Talk to your body. Jen Hatmaker, I'm wearing her hat today. It says Fierce on it. Again, dress the way you want to feel, right? Like, all of these things are hopeful. But Jen has a book that I think it's Fierce, Free, and Full of Fire. She talks about her body, and she calls it a she, and she references it and thanks it. And I've thought about that when I read her book for the first time a couple years ago. For about how thankful I am to my body for carrying me through so much stuff. And I get it. I could look at that a different way. I could be mad at my body for allowing cancer. I could be all of these things. But instead, I've just chosen, I'm just really thankful for how tough and strong and willing to persevere my body has been. And I'm thankful for that. And I never expected any of this to happen to me, but man, I feel like my body's like stepped up again and again and again. And I'm not fearful for how it will react to adversity. It's pretty used to it, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good at taking care of it. So, if you're a faith person, and I'll tell you, I mean, we can talk about this more some other time. My faith has been, I think, a little bit, there's been some ups and downs with it, but it's not really related to my faith as much as it's related to kind of church issues. So, when I say, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about praying. And I do believe in prayer, but how do I say this? I believe in prayer as a partnership with God. And for me, that means not those platitudes that I was talking about at the beginning. Not that, oh man, I hope this works out. I believe in prayer more in a conversation with God, and me putting myself out there to say, I'm here to partner with you. I'm here to do what I can do. I don't know. I don't know if I have all the words for this to talk about it. And I think that I don't know how much of a difference there is between praying and that track in my head that goes on all the time anyway. So I just believe in using all of my thoughts, but for good, recognizing when I'm getting off track, or when fear or worry or something else is taking over. But, if you have a relationship with God, I believe that God wants us to show up. And I believe that sometimes the greatest, stories happen because of people who didn't know enough and weren't smart enough, or the smartest or the strongest or the whatever. Like, those are the stories, right? That really inspire us all. And I don't know. I think there's a lot to that, and I'm probably going to continue to wrestle with my faith, but I don't think it's so much wrestling with my faith as wrestling with how people like to use their faith to what I feel like hurt other people. But when I look at it just from a hopeful stance, I believe it's, rather than lamenting or a crying out, it's I'm showing up kind of situation for me. So before I let you go, I just want you to know that I think that there's a huge role that you can play in hoping for the best, right? But I also think that you, as with everything in cancer, like, it's your body, it's your thoughts. You get to decide how things kind of play out a little bit, and rather than you reacting to other people. So when you're feeling hopeful, when you're feeling like, okay, I know, when you're listening to that intuition about how to move forward with cancer, and you're kind of hearing that plan of what you're going to do and how to do it, I just want you to have hope in that plan. And if you are sharing that with people who are poo-pooing it, or who are, encouraging you not to be too hopeful, I would just challenge you to push back on that. It's okay to scare people a little bit with your hope. And that might sound really weird, but I, having lived with this for so long, and here I've heard so many people say so many things, um, where I'll say when my scan comes back clear, and somebody will say if, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. It's when, So it's okay to have that courage to be positive and hopeful. And honestly, if it doesn't work out with a statement like that, who cares? Make a new plan. It's not a false hope. We've talked about that a little bit. It's not detrimental. It's I think a good way to move forward with cancer, to be hopeful about healing, to be hopeful about making some plans. It's all of those things, they're good things. And we cancer shouldn't be the death of dreams, right? Cancer is enough on its own, right? So, and oh, I know there's a million different ways to do this. But having spoken with Lori recently and talked about that, I was talking about that with my husband, about just some of the similarities between us. And a lot of it, I think, did come back to hoping and dreaming and believing and generating the thoughts and the actions throughout our journey. So I'm so glad you guys are following along and listening, and I would love to hear any kind of comments and questions that you have. And I just want you to know that I am cheering for you, and I know it's tough. I know that this is tough, but I believe in you, and I believe that there's good days ahead. Thanks so much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still here after all these years, after all these tears I shed.